this computer. All right, so mobility. That is lesson 1. Be talking about body mechanics, helping a client walk and transfer from the bed to the wheelchair. That's what we'll be looking into. And the reason why you're in this class is so that you can be able to help those people who cannot be able to perform those tasks for themselves. And that's why you come in. So if you are not doing your job in a professional manner, you may find yourself, instead of helping the client properly, you're putting the client into more danger or into more problems. So by the end of the lesson, you should be able to use proper body mechanics to prevent injuring yourself and also injuring the client. You should also be in a position to use proper techniques and assistive devices. And when you talk about assistive devices, we are talking about things like Hoyer lifts, okay, to help them. And then we'll also be in a position. Let me also mute someone here. Okay, all right. Allow participants to unmute themselves. Then I'll say no. So if I want you to talk, I'm the one who will unmute you so that we can be able to be on the same page. It is also going to help us to have what we call class control. So why falls are a concern for clients, and how to prevent falls, and what to do if a client has fallen. So let's first of all define the terms that are there. We are in page 85. We are page 85 on your book, the green book, page 85. So the keywords: assistive devices. These are equipments that helps a person perform a task, okay, and maintain or gain independence. Assistive devices could be Hoyer lift. There are those manual Hoyer lifts. They are also, they are also electric Hoyer lifts. Those ones are usually on the ceiling. And we also have those that are manual. Those are assistive devices. Their work is to help the client to maintain or regain independence. Then body mechanics, when you talk of body mechanics, is a way of lifting or preventing injury. In the process of helping the client, you don't want yourself to be hurt, you know? So if you are lifting the client, whether you are transferring the client from the bed or you are turning the client who is in bed, or you are transferring the client from the wheelchair to the bed, how are you going to do that successfully without hurting yourself or also hurting the client? Mobility. Mobility, the meaning of the word mobility is ability to move about. And you find some of these clients, they are not able to move themselves. So the person who is helping them, it is you. You are the person who is helping them to complete tasks. And a good professional, health professional, is the one who completes a task of helping a client successfully without hurting them. So if you have completed your task successfully without hurting the client, then we can say that you are a health professional. make sure you follow all the guidelines that are written in the care plan. And because of the new student, I want to say this, that a care plan, this is a developed document that explains the type of care that a client is supposed to receive. Maybe this client is supposed to be transferred from the bed to the wheelchair by 2 people. So you cannot, there's no way you can go and try to lift that person alone. If you try to transfer that client alone against what is documented in the care plan, then you are the one who will be into problem. So it's good to read a care plan. And a care plan will tell you what are you supposed to do from point A to point B. So once you know that, it helps you to understand the condition of the client. It will tell you whether the client has high blood pressure, or the client has diabetes, has mental health condition, has dementia, has developmental disability. The care plan will tell you everything. Follow the care plan. Even if you will meet, you'll be given a caregiver who has worked in that home for 20 years or 15 years, make sure you read the care plan. That is what is going to help you. Another important word there is positioning, how a person is placed, either when sitting or when lying. Some of the clients, there is a condition for you to turn them every 2 hours. If that is what is written, the care plan says, make sure every 2 hours, you either go and check them so that you can change them or you can turn them. Because what will happen if you are not changing them or you are not turning them? With time, if they are urinating and they are going to develop what we call pressure sores. So you have to make sure that you are following to the detail. Make sure you follow to the detail everything a care plan talks about. So, and then another important one is transfers, is moving one person from one place to another. You can transfer a client from the bed to the wheelchair. You can transfer a client from the wheelchair to the bed. And then we have another important word there, transfer belt or the gait belt. And I know when it comes to practicals, I'm going to show you all these items. So a belt worn around the client waist and aid in transferring or transfers or walking. So sometimes when you try to grab the client above shoulders, your hands can slip and you can fall. And that's where the gait belt or the transfer belt comes in. It will help you to turn, to have a grip of the client so that you can transfer them from one point to another. And then we have transfer board. This is a transfer board that enables a person to stride from one point to another. Let's say maybe to stride from the wheelchair to the bed. It's a small board. It's a small board. I think I'll show you during tomorrow's class what a transfer board is. So those are important terms that you need to know in terms of dealing with these clients in mobility. Let's go to page 86 is talking about proper body mechanics. Before lifting or moving a thing or a person, test the weight. How do you test the weight? You make sure you lift, first of all, the weight with your mind. Because your mind can tell you, this weight I can lift, okay? If you lift, that means you have not grabbed a thing or you're grabbing to transfer someone. You first of all lift with your mind. If it is not a weight that you can manage, then don't try to transfer or to lift that thing, because what is happening, you could end up injuring your back, or you could also end up hurting the client. So, so what you're supposed to do is before lifting or moving a thing or person, test the weight with your mind of the load and make sure that you can move it safely. If you cannot move the weight safely, don't attempt to move it. Do not lift it alone if it seems too heavy. Number two, proper body mechanics. You make sure you spread your feet about shoulder width apart with one foot in front of the other. So your legs are not on the same position. And this we shall do when it comes to training of 16 hours of mandatory skills training. So this part of the theory, we are going to do this thing practically because we are required by Department of Health and Social Services to practice 16 hours skills so that you can understand these things. So bend at the knees instead of the waist. When you bend with your waist, you're gonna hurt your back. So you're supposed to bend with your waist. And then you're also supposed to keep your back as straight as possible. So you're not bending, this is bending, but you're trying to keep you're kind of like squatting when you're lifting weight. So you're not using your waist, you're not using your shoulders to lift the weight. You are using your legs, your thighs, I would say your thighs to lift weight. That way you are keeping your back as straight as possible, and that way you cannot hurt yourself. So then you're supposed also to bring the weight closer to you. You're supposed to bring the weight or the load closer to you. So if I'm turning a client, before I turn the pad, what I'm supposed to do first, I'm going to pull closer to me, and then I'll turn. But if you turn and you're far away, that means there is probability you're going to strain your back. So you're supposed to pull the road or the weight closer to you with the pad, with those pads. You fold, you pull, you fold, you pull, and then you can turn once the weight or the road is closer to you. Lift with your legs using a stronger set of buttock and legs muscles. Okay? So also keep your back and feet and trunk together. Do not twist at the waist. I've seen so many health professionals who have hurt their back, and they ended up with having hip problems because of what? You twist. Well, if you twist the waist when you're transferring a client, the probability is that you're going to cause your back to have a strain, and that may give you a lot of problems. If it is necessary to change your direction when you lift, shift your feet, take small steps, and keep your back and neck in a straight line. So push. So I've said this. This is the method of proper body mechanics. You first of all pull the weight towards you, and then you push or you slide the object. You can only slide if you are two people. So so what you do, you first of all pull the road close to you, the other person holds, and then if you're sliding, you're not lifting, you're sliding together. That is the way to do that. Okay, all right. So another thing, it is important always before you transfer the client, tell them what you're about to do to them. That although they may not have strength to help you, it makes your work easier because you are preparing them psychologically, and that eases the resistance that could be in their mind. So if you come just and push me, you put me in a panic mode because these people, they are fragile, and they're always thinking that something was going to happen to them. So if you are transferring them, it is good you tell them, hi, my friend X, uh, good morning. And remember the privacy notices. When you're entering their room, make sure you knock the door. Hey, good morning, Mr. X. How are you this morning? I'm Dr. Jenga. I'm your caregiver today, and I'm gonna transfer you from the bed to the wheelchair. I know they don't have ability to move from the bed, but by me mentioning that, I'm preparing them psychologically so that when I move them, they're already aware that I'm moving them. So encouraging and helping a client to stay mobile greatly impact his or his physical and emotional well-being. So you're supposed to support the client to be independent as much as you can. You know, you cannot just be pulling them out of the bed and returning them to bed. And encourage them. If you see small successes, always tell them, hey, you are doing very well. Encourage them. Make sure you're encouraging them in what they are doing. So when you do that, you will help them in physical and emotional well-being, because some of the time they feel discouraged, they feel like they cannot continue. But when you encourage them and you tell them, you know what, you can do it. Can you help me to slide towards your back? Can you help me to stand up? You are encouraging them. So what are these many things that can limit clients' movement? Because we said mobility is about moving. Number one, the clients could be having balance problems. They could be having vision problems. They cannot see well. They could have a hearing loss. So that may also help limit their movement. Pain, if they're having pain, there is no way they are going to move properly. Also, medication can affect them. Some medication have got side effects. Certain disabilities, maybe from the legs or the nerve system, and also reduced sense of touch. So what are some of the problems that occur if a client cannot move? The client may have pressure ulcers. You know, if the client is sleeping in bed for a long time and is not being changed on time, like every 2 hours, then he or she may develop pressure ulcers. The client may also have urinary problems since the client cannot take themselves to the washroom to either to urinate. They may have problem with the constipation. They may have problem with the constipation. They also may have increased stress on the heart. How do you feel that for us, we can go privately to our washroom and download either number 1 or number 2. But these clients, they cannot perform these tasks, so they feel stressed. Since somebody has to see their body while helping them. So these are some of the things that we are talking about. So they may have increased stress on the heart. They may also have muscle weakness, and if they have muscle weakness, then it means that they become completely immobile. So in addition to becoming less immobile, this can bring feelings of helplessness. That everything, something small that happens, they are afraid, they will freak out and think that maybe something else is going to happen to them. This may cause depression, this may cause anxiety, and this can also affect clients' independence, okay, to be reduced. So these are some of the things that happen when it comes to clients' mobility. Let's go to page 86 and talk about transfers. Any questions so far? If you have questions, you can raise up your hand. Any question? All right. So transfer is very personal. Very personal. A client knows what works for them and what doesn't work for them. And we'll have a definite opinion. You know, the good thing with helping the clients with activities of daily living, the client, him or herself, is involved in the care he or she is receiving. So it is always good, you as a health professional, to respect the wishes or the opinion of the client, or how there is a way they want them to be sat on the commode if you're transferring them to the bed, to the washroom. There's a time they wake up. If they wake up at 6, that's when they usually go to the washroom to do the number 2. Then you have to wake up them, put them on the commode that time at 6 a.m. If you do not do that, what happens? They mess up themselves, isn't it? Because you're not following what they want. So they have opinion, respect that. So talk with the client about his preferences before you do any transfers. That is the way the client, they want the task completed. Talk with them, involve them in what you want to do to them. Very, very important. Be clear and independent and confident with your directions. This helps the client to be more comfortable and secure. If you're not confident, then the client will have a lot of fear, because in the first place, the client is asking, will this girl or this boy manage this weight, or they are going to let me fall down? So that is very important. So can we look at this skill transfer? But we're just looking at theoretically. We are going to do this thing in a practical manner in our 16 hours of mandatory skills training. So number 1. So you are supposed, number 1, to do what? Position chair or wheelchair close to the bed with arm of the wheel almost touching the bed. So you have to bring the chair close to the bed as closer as possible. Number 3, make sure you fold up and remove foot rests. Because if this client is going to stand up, or you're going to help him to stand, why is he going to stand close to the wheelchair if you're not folding the wheels of the wheelchair? Lock the wheels. That is very important. If you don't lock the wheels properly, what is going to happen is that the client may, the wheelchair may move when you're about to probably make the client sit. So that could be a problem, can become a problem. So assist the client to roll toward the side of the bed. That is where you are. Remember, we said you pull the rod or the weight closer to you, and then that way you are able to move them. Support the client's back and hips. Assist client into a sitting position with a feet flat on the floor. So once you bring the client closer to the bed to where you are, you're going to the side of the bed and their hip, you push them so that you can be able to position their feet. Make sure you position their feet flat on the floor. So make sure also that you assist the client to put on non-skid footwear. Non-skid footwear, maybe we are talking about socks. The type of socks that they are wearing, they are those socks with the small, like small dots under. Those are non-skid socks. Make sure you put them on that so that they will not slip. So make sure also you put on a transfer belt if necessary. Assist a client to scoot toward the edge of the bed with a transfer or the gate belt. All these we're later going to do them practical so that I can show you how to transfer a client from the bed to the wheelchair or from the wheelchair to the bed. Okay, so you always stand in front of the client, you to grasp or get hold of the belt, okay? So, and if you don't have a gate belt, stand in front of the client and place your arms around client's torso under the client's arm. So here, so your hands are going, you're going to put them under the client's arm. You grab them, so you grab your hands around so that you'll be able to help the clients to be able to stand. Brace client's lower extremities with your knees to prevent slipping. So since you're standing in front of the client, that will help to block the client in case the client may want to slip and slide and fall. Brace client's lower extremities with knees to prevent slipping. Alert a client you will be begin transfer at the count of this. So if you're helping, you tell them, hey, Mr. X, I want you to help me to stand up at the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Then you make them stand. And then always give them direction. Tell them, I want you now to turn. You turn. Once they turn, then you tell them, please help me to scoot back towards the wheelchair. They'll turn. And then you tell them, can you sit down at the count of 3? 1, 2, 3. You make them sit on the chair. Very important. So alert client, you begin transfer on the count of 3. On signal, assist the client to stand. Although they may not be able to help you, you are preparing psychologically. It prepares their mind on what is going to happen to them. Assist the client to pivot to in front of the wheelchair with the back of the client's legs against the wheelchair. Flex your knees and hips and lower the client into the wheelchair. Have the client hold on to armrest for the support. Deposition the client with hips touching the back of the wheelchair and good body alignment. Remove transfer gate belt. So you're not going to leave the client with the gate belt, but you're going to make sure you remove the gate belt. Assisting devices for the transfer, page 86. A transfer belt is a belt made of sturdy webbing or twill with a back of clasp or net. Tomorrow I'll come with a gate belt, then I'll show you. So the transfer belt is placed around the client's waist. It's used to help the client to transfer. So you can use the belt when you're transferring the client from the bed to the wheelchair or from the wheelchair to the bed. It can also help the client to walk. A transfer belt is recommended for clients who need help to transfer. Because sometimes, as I said, your hands may slip under the client's arm and the clients may have a fall. A transfer belt can be purchased at a local medication equipment supplier. You can get them at Walmart, CVS, all those stores you can buy them. Medical components may be available for DHS clients to cover the purchases of the transfer belt. Encourage the client to check his or her case manager and talk with your supervisor. If you do not have a store purchased transfer belt, you can use a regular wide belt with a clasp. So you're supposed to talk with your supervisor or case manager in case you need a transfer. In case you need a transfer belt. So, uh, so what are the general tips to remember when it comes to using of the transfer belt? Place the belt around the client's clothing, so you're not using just skin when it comes to transferring the client. The belt should be snug but not too tight. So don't ask the client, are you comfortable at this point? Okay, it should be snug, not too tight. You should be able to comfortably put the flat of your hands under your belt. If you're not able to put your arms under the belt when it is around the client waist, then it is too tight. So make sure a woman's breasts are not caught under the belt. So you're not putting the belt above the breast if it is a woman. You're putting them on around the waist, just below the breast. So transfer boards improve clients' ability to transfer with less assistance, and the transfer boards work well with the clients that can use their arms to scoot from one side to another. Usually the transfer boards, they are used by the clients who are able to probably sometimes independently be able to use their arms to slide themselves either to the bed or to the wheelchair. What are the cautions or the safety transfers tips? If the client cannot help with the transfer at all, you need special training or adaptive equipment like a Hoyer lift to lift and move him or her. Depending on where you work, talk with your supervisor or the client's case manager about getting this special training. So make sure if you're not able to lift these clients with your hands, that you're helping them to you have special training on how to use Hoyer lift. So if you lift at a station of work and then you are told, hey, here is the Hoyer lift that you're going to use to transfer client X from point A to point B. You need special training. You need to be trained how to use it. Don't assume things, because safety, in this field, we say that safety comes first. So the client should never put his arms around your neck during a transfer. Never. A client should never put his hands around your neck during transfer. That can, the arms can slip and the client can also have a problem. So it can pull you forward and make you lose your balance or hurt your back. So not only can it make the client have problems, but it can also hurt you during when you move. If you feel a strain in your lower back, stop the transfer and get help. If you feel that your body is like you have some pain that has developed as long as of trying to transfer the client, then stop doing it and just make sure you call for help. So make sure the client is not too close to the edge of the bed, because the client can skid and fall. Instruct the client to bed his or her knees with the feet flat on the bed and roll onto their sides towards you. Then you make sure you watch closely. Have the client bring his or her legs off the bed and push up with their arms to a sitting position. Always make sure that you're involving the client, because if you're not helping, if you're not involving them, your job will be very difficult, because what happens, the client, since they always think that they are going to fall, then it creates resistance in their brain, and it makes your work become very hard trying to move them. So we are going to end today's class with the page 88, general tips to remember when you are using a draw sheet to lift. So the following are general tips. Number one, lift a client with a draw sheet requires two people. Use a draw sheet or regular sheet folded in half. So you're transferring two of you. So you're not trying to transfer. There is no way you can transfer a client alone with the draw sheet. So one caregiver must be on the other side. You must be this side, and then you're going to fold and pull. Place under the person's between his knees and the shoulder. Then roll up each side. And when you're doing this, you're involving the client. You're not just, pulling or transferring the client anyhow. Roll each side of the draw sheet, the client right in the bed, and then lift the client up in the bed. Be careful not to drag the client's heel. You're not pushing, okay? You're lifting. So if the client is able, she can also assist by bending his knees and pushing up the caregiver as they use the draw sheet. So this is what you need to remember when you're transferring client from a wheelchair to the car. You position a car away from the curb so the client starts on the level pavement. And you can see the picture, those who have that green book, and you can see, because I'm sharing the screen, you can see the position. Or have the car close to the curb so that the client will not have to step down to a pavement from the curb. Have the car door open. Position the car seat as far back as possible. The front passenger seat is preferred. So when you're using a van to transfer a client, the front passenger seat is preferred for the client to sit with the wheelchair. Make sure the wheelchair is in the lock position. Have the client put his or her right arm on the car door. Have the client use his or her left arm to push up on the wheel to a standing position. So this client, you're involving the client when you're moving them. So have the client turn face the door and place his or her left hand on the seat, back or door frame, and then sit down on sideways onto the seat. So with all this, we are going to do practically, and I'm going to show you how to do it. Reverse this process if they're transferring the client out of the car. No process, no friction upholstery such as vinyl or rather help the client to slide easily. A large plastic garbage liner can also be used to make it easier for a person to slide. Avoid parking the car on an incline. That means you cannot try to put the client inside the car on an uphill. It has to be flat all the time. Have the car engine off. Okay, put the car into parking brake set. So you can see the resource directory in page 261. Any question? All right, so that marks the end of our class today, and we meet again tomorrow. Same time, 7:30. Continue reading the fundamentals of caregiving or the green book. Very important. That is what is going to help you so that you can be able to. Mobility is a very important part when it comes to lifting or transferring a client from one position to another. All right, guys, if there is nobody with a question, that marks the end of our class today. See you again tomorrow. And for those who are new, I'm Professor Dr. Jenga. I'm the director of Home Aide Training Center. We are located in Federal Way, and we have been training students since 2017. Have a good night.
Thank you. And same.
All right.